Hey there, Apex Agents. Mobius Y here with another video for Mass Effect Andromeda's multiplayer. This is part 2 of today's character build guide where we take a look at the ultra-rare Batarian Vanguard. Remember, for part 1 of this video where I go over the exact equipment and skills that I pick for this setup in this gameplay, check the link in the description below where I will go over in detail my picks for setting up this character. So, with this mission, Firebase Magma against Ket, very, very easy, well, easier faction to use a melee character against, well, easier than Remnant, I'll just put it that way. But nevertheless, you essentially see me play this character a little bit unorthodox, I like to think, because a lot of the time when you see somebody charging around using a Batarian Vanguard, they're running around with Annihilation Field constantly active. And this is why I decided to change things up. The general intention of having Annihilation on is to just have it there right when you slam your fist in somebody's face so that you do extra damage by setting off a biotic combo. So, to me, it didn't make much sense to try and change my build up and focus on having Annihilation on all the time because it reduces the cooldown of charge quite a significant amount, even if you build it so that the power reduction penalty with Annihilation on is lessened. And in the case of a really high-risk, high-reward kind of character like a Vanguard, you need your charge cooldown coming back as quickly as possible. Remember the ABCs of Vanguarding. Always biotic charge. So you want your biotic charge to come back as often as possible, as quickly as possible. So not only do you need to remember to before you charge, turn off the Annihilation Field, but you also need to remember to turn it on right before you melee something. Now, you don't always need it on. You'd see me do it numerous times where I simply go after a single, in this case, a Ket Chosen, or other mooks for other factions. You simply charge them and you punch them in the face. You're done. Wipe the slate clean, you got your melee damage bonus from killing that. That's all it takes. There's no reason to activate Annihilation and set Annihilation on a cooldown or go through the extra time of turning it on and off again, because simply charging and punching most mooks on gold difficulty is enough. That's all you need to do. There's some times where you don't even need to charge the mook, you just run up to them and punch them, and you're done. You can this is especially viable if you have your melee damage bonus at from rank 6 of Combat Fitness, where you can get up to an additional 65% melee damage on top of all the other melee damage bonuses that you get. So if you get that ramping melee damage bonus up there, there's a lot of cases where you can just run up to mooks and just punch them once and be done with it and go to the next guy. So, with that being said, it might seem a little bit unusual because you'll see me charge into sub-bosses, then turn on Annihilation, then punch them in the face, and then if they're not dead, you know, I'll finish them off, and then I'll turn Annihilation off, looking for the next group of bad guys. Annihilation being on all the time, I don't really feel is terribly necessary, because it doesn't... The bonuses that you get from it being on, even with the 20% additional damage that all enemies take, even with the vortex thing that gives you incredible crowd control in your immediate vicinity, I don't think it warrants sacrificing all that survivability that you essentially give up. So that's why I play this the way that I do. It's strictly for a very brief moment of crowd control where de-shielded enemies will get lifted into the air, and even when you turn off Annihilation, there's still a couple seconds where they gotta fall to the ground, and then they gotta get back up on their feet. So that's still quite a bit of crowd control, and hopefully by the time any enemies that are around you get back on their feet from being lifted into the air with Annihilation, they're already dead. And the other thing that Annihilation is meant for is simply for priming your Batarian Gauntlet for biotic combos. That's about it. Beyond that, it doesn't really serve a heck of a lot of purpose. You could, like I said, you could build this a little bit differently, where you spec Annihilation and you build this character around the expectation of having Annihilation on all the time. If that's the route you wish to go, by all means, I'm not going to dispute that. You know, set up this character, play this character however you like. Just, that was strictly my viewpoint. But anyways, enough on that. Like I said, this character has really high burst damage against a single target. the combined total of damage is... Geez, I had it written down somewhere, but I lost it. It doesn't matter. Anyways, the combined total damage, like I said, it's often enough to one-hit kill gold sub-bosses. For example, in this game, Ket Destined, Ket Anointed. I don't think you actually see it happen because I don't have enough damage bonuses up when I do it, but it's pretty freaking close. With more damage being implemented from the boosters that you're equipping, or if you simply put on equipment that is not what I used in the build setup, which I believe was structural ergonomics. If you put on something like hydraulic joints, for example, where you just increase your melee damage even more, there is really good potential to actually one-hit kill things. Especially on gold difficulty. If you use, higher grade boosters like grade 3 or grade 4 hydraulic joints, grade 3, grade 4 universal power amps, so on and so forth. The list goes on and on. I think you get the gist of it. But you still do see me go after spawns in this particular case. And I feel that this is why going with the Vortex upgrade at rank 6 of Annihilation is just a little bit better than going with the Draining Field of Annihilation. Because I can charge into a spawn, I can specifically target a shielded enemy, and then when I activate Annihilation, any nearby unshielded enemies, in this case Ket Chosen or Ket Wraiths, are immediately crowd controlled. They are disabled. They cannot hurt me. So that leaves me to do what I need to do in order to finish off any sub-bosses that are not yet de-shielded. So I can punch a Ket Anointed and set off a combo, hopefully de-shield him so he starts getting lifted in the air, and then I can either switch targets and start punching other things, or I can just chain punch a few things and set off multiple combos really quickly to take out a whole spawn. You do see me nuke a couple spawns in this game if it hasn't happened already. It only happens about 2 or 3 times, but it is pretty awesome when it does. But you also see me go after boss units, charging at them to get my melee damage bonus up there, then activating Annihilation and punching them once to take out their last chunk of health. It does a decent amount of damage. You see me finish off at least one fiend that way, but I'm pretty sure you also do see me screw up where I charge a fiend when I'm standing too close to it and it essentially sync kills me. You want to make sure that you avoid that at all costs, obviously. And in the case of Ket Ascendants, you pretty much only want to charge them and start punching them once the Ascended Orb has been taken out. I almost forgot the name of it. Which is a little silly. But anyways, enough about that. I did have another game where I did use the Draining Field at rank 6 of Annihilation, but I'm not going to share that because I feel that, for me personally, I like the Vortex upgrade on Annihilation Field. I feel it's just a little bit of a better choice, and I just like it a little bit more. With that extra crowd control, it adds a whole bunch of survivability beyond just regenerating your shields, because even though you're regenerating shields with the Draining Field, when things die near you while you have Annihilation on, something could still be shooting you while you are affecting them with that field. So they could still be shooting you and take down all the shields you just got. Whereas with the Vortex, they could be getting lifted into the air, and there's nothing they can do. So any shields that you might have lost do not get lost because they're doing no damage to you, essentially. So I'll leave it at that. Enjoy the rest of the gameplay. Thank you very much for watching. This has been Mobius Y for Mass Effect Andromeda's multiplayer. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. And let me know in the comments below how you feel about the Batarian Vanguard. Do you play him very similarly, where you focus on melee, or do you play him extremely differently? I'll see you guys on the battlefield. Good luck, Apex.
Picking up classified data on the Scourge. Upload it before they lock us out. Data transfer. Teammate injured. Teammate injured. Squad member down. I'm reading a flat line. Everyone down! Upload complete. Well done, team. Hang in there, Apex. Three left. Go get 'em. That hurt them. Be ready.
Good work, people.
We're done here. Get yourself to the LZ. Ascendant! My shields are up! Shields down! Shields down! Everyone down! Enemy definitely one. Incoming! That's how Apex gets it done. Come on home.